Services are complex interactions between humans and technology. The difficulty is orchestrating all of these interactions together to make one seamless experience for the guests. The Service Blueprint is a powerful tool to help do this. The blueprint helps you see the experience a customer has with your service by exposing the big picture. It allows you to analyze the service from start to finish and also exposes all of the behind-the-scenes work that goes into creating and delivering that experience. It is a visual diagram that shows the people, props, and process involved in the entire experience. By mapping it all out visually, it allows you to identify the touch points between the guest and the providers that need improving. It is the perfect method for approaching experiences that involve many different team members and stakeholders, and it is the result of a cross-functional workshop effort. Today I will be explaining step by step how a blueprint would look using an example of going to the dentist. But before getting into that, I'm going to explain the layout of the blueprint to ensure you have a better understanding. Starting with beforehand, these are the events that occur before the customer's experience. This happens before the customer receives face-to-face service. This could involve planning. During or using the service, these are the actions that occur when the customer is experiencing the service and interacting with employees of the company. Front of house, these are the employees that customers interact with. They are visible to the general public and can be considered as the face-to-face business. Back of house, these are the employees that customers do not directly interact with. They are behind the scene and solving problems. Physical evidence is tangibles that customers are exposed to that can influence their quality perceptions. Customer actions include all the steps that customers take part in as a part of the service delivery process. The line of interaction depicts the direct interactions between the customer and the organization. On-stage contact actions is the actions of frontline contact employees that occur as part of the service encounter. Line of invisibility separates all service activities that are visible to the customer from those that are not visible to the customer. Everything front stage appears above the line and everything backstage appears below the line. Backstage contacts are employee interactions or steps that are invisible to the guest. Support processes are activities carried out by technology but need to happen for the service to be delivered. Okay, now we are going to create a blueprint for someone making a dentist appointment. You always begin with guest actions, so let's take a look at what the customer or guest does throughout the experience. First, they will call to book an appointment. Then, they will arrive at the dentist office. Once they arrive, they will be told they do not have a booking. So the customer will complain and wait for a new appointment. After waiting, the guest will have their appointment. The patient will get their tooth fixed and will leave the dentist office. So these are the steps of the customer actions while making a dentist appointment. Now remember, it is always important to start with the customer's actions. The next step is to focus on how the service company, in this case the dentist office, can support each customer's action. Now let's look at the first guest action, which is call to book an appointment. So what physical evidence does the customer see to call and book the appointment? They see the dental office's website where they can look for the contact information. There is no onstage contact in this first action because the customer does not speak to anyone in person as they call to book an appointment over the phone. Finally, there is a support process because the appointment is saved through a software program. So now we've completed the blueprint for the first customer action, so let's move on to the next step, which is arriving at the dentist. For physical evidence, here you see the parking lot and the atmosphere of the office. The guest then has their first onstage contact as the receptionist greets the guest upon arrival. Moving on to the next customer action, where the patient is told they do not have an appointment. In this action, there is both onstage and offstage contact as the receptionist apologizes and investigates. The offstage contact happens once IT is contacted and checks the computer. The support process is needed in this action as the appointment software was needed. Next, the customer action we will look at is the complaint. There is onstage contacts as the receptionist finds another later appointment and she enters the appointment into the software system, so the support system is needed in this action. The next customer action happens while the customer waits for the next appointment. The customer is still in the dentist office, so the onstage contact here is when the receptionist makes the guest some coffee. The backstage contact in this action is IT detecting the issue. So after a little waiting, we move on to the second last action, which is when the patient finally gets in for the appointment. The physical evidence in this action is the patient's room and the feel of the patient's chair. Of course, there is on-stage contact in this action as the dentist works on the patient. Now moving on to the final action, the patient has their tooth fixed and leaves the office. After going over that scenario, what can be improved? The main issue in the scenario starts in the first backstage contact, when the customer calls to book an appointment and is under the impression that the appointment has been saved in the software system. Our solution to this issue is to ensure all receptionists make call reminders the day before and tell the patients at the time of the bookings to expect a call. That way, if the patient does not receive a call, they know beforehand that something went wrong. Another solution is to ensure IT is doing routine checks on the software to make sure there is no bugs or issues. Our last solution is to have the receptionist follow up with the patient after the appointment and ask how the service was and if there's anything they need improvement on. I hope you all enjoyed the tutorial. Now it's time for you to create your own service blueprint.